Hi everyone, I'm Miss Brittany. I'm a teacher here at Poly, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to take notes for any kind of nonfiction story. So this is not just for NF class, which is about science. This is going to be notes that you can do for CC, GD, NF. You can also do this for any nonfiction stories that you might have in English, as long as you check with your English teacher ahead of time. But outline style notes are really good to take when you're reading nonfiction, things that are full of facts rather than a story with different parts. So let's get into it. This is an example text that you might see in an NF or GD or CC kind of class. Now, what we're going to do first is, before we take notes, we need to figure out what we're going to take notes on. To do that, you should read through the story and find the most important information and highlight or underline it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be highlighting first. So it says, you know that plants and animals are living things. How do you know? For one thing, plants and animals have cells. A cell is the smallest unit of living matter. Ants and onion plants are made of cells. You are too. So in this paragraph, one of the most important things definitely is going to be this definition here. A cell is the smallest unit of living matter. So anytime that you're given a definition, you definitely want to highlight that. In this paragraph, maybe the first sentence would also be important to know because the first sentence of each paragraph is usually the topic sentence, which tells you the most important information. Moving on to the next paragraph. A living thing may have millions of cells. It may have only one cell. In any case, all living things need water, food, and a place to live. Most living things also need oxygen, a gas in air and water. So here we have another definition. So I'm going to highlight that right away. A living thing may have millions of cells. It may have only one cell. But all living things need food, water, and a place to live. Definitely important. And then I think what's also important, things may be made of millions of cells or be one-celled. That's also important. Moving on, living things reproduce. And then you're just going to read through just like that and highlight as you go. Now, what you could do, you can highlight all in one color like I've done thus far, or you could choose to do all of your definitions in one color. So I have definitions here in yellow. And then maybe you have other information in another highlighted color. Maybe we use blue for topics, topic sentences, something like that. It's up to you what you use to highlight. Now, once you've gone and highlighted everything that you think is important, the next step is to take the notes. So we have 2 pages here, and we have 2 more pages here where we have highlighted the important information to take notes on. Now we are going to write things down. Once you've taken your notes, in the end, they're going to look a little something like this here on the side. So this is covering what are living things, which is on page 22 here. And it's also covering how do plant and animal cells compare, which is on the next page here. Now let's take a closer look at our outline style notes. Now, you may be asking how these notes are organized. So let's go through together and see how they have been organized. So, as we can see, there is a subtitle here. It says, What are living things? That comes from this main subtitle or subheading on this page here. So when you're organizing your notes in this way, you're going to organize using subheadings like this. The next subheadings we can see here, I'll underline living things have needs, living things reproduce. That comes from living things have needs here, living things reproduce here. And also you can see there's another subtitle, Other Life Functions, but there isn't one over here. The reason why is because these life functions are also talking about the life functions that start in living things reproduce. So we're going to organize our notes in this type of way. Then the next subheading down here, how do plant and animal cells compare? That comes from the next page. So you're going to organize your notes using these subheadings in your books, whatever your subheadings are. Some of you might have earth science, some of you might have physics, some of you might have biology. You want to use these subheadings to organize your notes. Now to take a closer look here. We have at the very top the title of the lesson. So in this case, the title was Lesson 1, Cells. After the title, you have your subheading. Now, underneath the subheading is information that was found in that section in your reading. So the things that came out of what are living things were all plants and animals have cells. Cells, the smallest living unit of matter. So those are the two important things found in that paragraph. Now you can see cells, the definition is just right here. It's found within the reading, but to make the definition stand out, I have highlighted it so I can see, oh, this is a definition. So then, since this is highlighted, that means this is also a definition, and so is this. Now you can see I have living things have needs. In this section, I have written the information. Now, the information was not presented in a list like this in the reading, but in the reading it said all living things need food, water, a place to live, and most need oxygen. What I did is I made this an easy list for me to remember. Number 1, food. Number 2, water. Number 3, a place to live. And number 4, most need oxygen. So when you're reading, you want to try and rewrite your notes in the easiest way for you. Last, living things reproduce. Now I combined this with another section, which sometimes when the sections are short, that is fine. But I have here, an organism is a living thing that carries out 5 basic jobs. And you can see an organism is not highlighted here, and that is because it was not counted as an actual vocabulary word in the book. However, it is a word where I'm being given a definition, so I should definitely write what an organism is. And then it says that the organism carries out 5 basic jobs. And then it told those 5 basic jobs in different paragraphs. There were 5 different paragraphs. So what did I do? I took those, I figured out the things, those 5 jobs that the organisms do, and I wrote them all here. Organisms reproduce, organisms grow and develop, organisms use energy to grow, organisms get rid of waste, and all organisms react to changes in their environment. Now, I also highlighted it here, as you can see where it's a blue highlight and a blue highlight here. So that's showing me that the 5 basic jobs should be listed here below. So when you are writing outline style notes, you don't just want to copy the book. If we copied the book, we would have written 5 whole paragraphs or really long sentences. That's not necessary. When you're writing outline style notes, you shouldn't be writing full sentences at all. You want to have short bullet points of information. You want to take the information in your book and simplify it for you. The next thing that you should almost always have in your outline style notes, especially when it comes to a science class, is pictures. So you can see here I've drawn a plant cell and an animal cell to help me remember. Okay, plant cells are boxy, animal cells are not, because that was mentioned in the reading. Also, if I move down here, I have some more notes down here. And in my notes down here, I have talked about plant cell walls, cell membranes, and I've drawn pictures to explain these things for me. So the story talked about how plant cells have chlorophyll. That was another subheading. 2, plant cells have cell walls. That was another subheading. So I put both of those in there and the most important information underneath those. Then I drew pictures to explain some of these things for me. A chloroplast is the actual circle. The chlorophyll is the green stuff inside of it. That wasn't exactly drawn in my book. That was not a picture that was drawn in my book. However, that is information that was given to me in the book. So I drew a picture with the information I was given. Same thing for the information down here. It says plant cells have sturdy cell walls, which gives the cell a box shape. Animal cells only have a cell membrane. Now, what wasn't totally clear in the book was that they actually have both. Plant cells have a cell membrane, animal cells also have a cell membrane, but maybe this is information I looked up or information I knew before, but I drew a picture of each of these so that I'm able to clearly remember, okay, plant cells have a green cell wall. That's why they're green. They're boxy shaped. Animal cells are soft and squishy and circular, so they do not have cell walls. Now here's one more showing of the notes totally complete. That is just for the first couple pages. There were a few more pages, but this tells me all the most important information that I need to know. Now, here are some other examples. This is from the Leaders 2 level NF book. We can see on the top here, we have the title. Also, most of those books come with a number. So if you are doing chapter 1, lesson 2, maybe you can write 1.2. If you're doing chapter 3, lesson 4, like this one here, then you'd write 3.4. And the title, you want to write the date, and then it's also helpful to write the page numbers as well. And as we can see here, this is set up with a little bit of a different structure. So it says 1, background. Angiosperms have fruits, flowers and fruit, and then it's giving me some information underneath there. Life cycle example of a cherry tree, more information. These are the subheadings in the book. So this book gave some subheadings. These subheadings were copied from the book to help structure this student's notes. Moving on to another example. This is the exact same class, but the notes were written in a bit of a different way. So this student before chose black and red to really stand out, to show the really important things that the student thought they should know the most. Also, you can see the student drew different pictures to explain things to themselves rather than explaining with long worded paragraphs. Not necessary. This student did it a little bit differently. Less pictures, but maybe more color. Also, the way that they organized, you can see here, these are the subheadings in the book, but they are colored. Now, in some of the textbooks, these subheadings do have colors where it's blue or red. You don't have to put the color, but that can really help you organize your notes so that you can easily see where you got your information from. When you're in class with your teacher, it is extremely helpful to have your notes organized in this way because then you'll be able to add some things on the side to your notes if there's something your teacher says that you think is important. And lastly, here for our examples, this is taken from the current Leaders 3 NF book, talking about physics. So you can see here, this student decided to put the subheadings in boxes to really make it very clear to them where they got their information from, and use different colors to illustrate or highlight different things for them. So it really depends on what you like and what you'd like to do, but your notes should be somewhat similar to this. If your book has subheadings in it, which all of your NF books definitely do, then you definitely need to be writing the subheadings that are listed in your book. By writing the subheadings, you are organizing your notes not only for yourself, but also for your teacher, so your teacher can make sure that you're getting enough information from your books. Now, one more thing I want to note is that, as you can see, there's no line on here like there is with Cornell notes, where you're writing definitions and questions, and you have like the summary at the bottom. That's not how these kinds of notes are organized. Outline style notes are just supposed to be an outline of the information that you learned. So there's not going to be a section just for vocabulary, there's not a section just for questions, and there's no summary. So if you have Cornell paper, kind of like this student did, you can just ignore these lines if you choose to. Otherwise, you could write your subheadings on the left side. So let's see. Humans depend on plants for their survival. That type of information, of course, it looks very big and very long, but that could be put on the left side of that line here so that you're using that left side. You can also still put your definitions over here if you have vocabulary words that you want to write on this left side. That is up to you what you want to do. But you are not required in outline style notes to write a summary. If your teacher asks you to write a summary at the end, please make sure you do that. But generally speaking, for nonfiction material, the material mostly just has facts, and sometimes it can be difficult to write a summary when there's many different topics that are talked about in your reading. So that is why you are not required to put a summary in here. Sometimes it can be really difficult to write a summary. Some of this information is very, very different from the information towards the end of the same lesson. It just depends. There's one more thing that I wanted to point out, guys, before you go to take your notes. Um, there are some shorthands and symbols on the screen that'll help you with taking notes. This was also shown at the beginning of the video. These should be used to replace some commonly used words when you're writing. This will help you write your notes faster. It will also help you write in bullet points rather than writing in full sentences. So when you're writing your notes, please practice using these, and in the future it will be very easy and very natural for you to use these in your notes. I hope everything in this video helped you, and good luck taking your outline style notes.